Welcome back to Touring the AFC South. I am your host, Mike Patton. And this past Sunday was, of course, billed as, the teams that were running the AFC South, the Colts and the Titans. And, a revenge game for the Colts, was billed to be, they going to get back. And the Titans are just not who they thought they were, who people thought they were. And then the game happened Sunday, and it didn't happen, unfortunately, for the Colts. And they took a L. 3-3-1 is the record. And a lot of drama has happened since. But, before I get all off into that and start talking about all those different things, I want to welcome my guest to the show. My guest to the show is a contributor to the IndieIntercept.com. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct.
All right. And then also he is the host of the Dropped Balls podcast. You
Yes,
can catch
sir.
that once a week. I wanted to bring on Mr. Chris Lewis II. What's going on, man?
What's up, Mike? Man, thank you for having me, man. It's it's been an eventful few days. I could say
Definitely,
that.
definitely. Well, we're gonna get into that, but let's get into the talk first in terms of the game. What were your thoughts after Sunday's game and the loss to the Tennessee Titans?
So, um, after the loss to the Titans, I was pretty much, and I said this on the Indie Intercept podcast. Um, I was pretty much at we got swept by the Titans. They're probably going to win the division. And with the landscape of the AFC, when you look at the AFC East, you look at the AFC West, the AFC North, they're likely going to get two teams in. And each of those divisions will likely get two teams in. So that's six teams. That leaves you only one extra team that can get in, and that's going to be the winner of the AFC South. So at this point, what are you playing for? Are you playing for a top 15, top 25 pick, which that's usually where we are every year since Andrew Luck has retired? Or are you going to try to get up into the top 10 this year, and that way you solidify potentially getting your quarterback of the future, whether that's Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Sam Hartman, uh Hendon Hooker, like whoever it is that you have your eyes on, are you going to be able to draft them in the top 10, top 15, whatever? um so I was at the point, like, it's time to is I hate to say this, but it's time to tank. Like, it's time to, just hang it up, wave the white flag, and get ready for next year. Which it sucks for some of the people that we brought on this year, like Stephon Gilmore, who thought, okay, they were going to be competitive, or we were going to be competitive, we were going to, make a run. But at this point, the way it's looking, unless Tennessee has some catastrophic breakdown where they just start losing games like crazy, and we somehow figure it out and start winning, I don't see this season really having too much success.
I hear you there. Well, you did speak on the bad feelings, but was there anything you can grasp on that was maybe good that came out of that game? I mean, I would say
Yeah,
the defense. The
yeah, for
defense was
sure.
good. I mean, they did give up a touchdown. The only touchdown that was scored was an
It's given up
interception
by
by
Matt
Matt Ryan.
Ryan.
Yeah,
So no, that is the bright spot of this team, right? Like, the defense has really been good pretty much all season. I know I've had my qualms about Gus Bradley's system, but after, I want to say, the Jaguars game, Gus Bradley kind of got into his defensive bag and started, changing things up, changing up coverages, and it proved that it worked for the team. So, I was good with that. The defense, like you said, they didn't give up a touchdown. And to be honest, I only put them on the hook for 6 points, because if it wasn't for the Matt Ryan interception, they would have never scored or they would have never kicked the other field goal. So, I mean, they got 9 points, but I say our defense really gave up six. So our defense played well, and I mean, as far as our young receivers, I think that's a bright spot as well. We've seen Alec Pierce come on a lot lately. Michael Pittman Jr. still been doing his thing. I love our tight ends and Jelani Woods and Kylan Granson. I know last year when we drafted Granson, I was not happy about it, but he's proven to, be very talented. Um, so, Jelani Woods, Kylan Granson, I just wish they would be used a lot more. Which each of them had one catch last game, so that's a problem there too. So defense and our young offensive weapons, I really like a lot.
I will tell you this though. Mr. Paris Campbell showed up 2 games in a row, so I got to give him
That
props
is
for that
true.
because I
That
mean,
is true.
last year. you couldn't count on him being healthy 2 games in a row. So,
Exactly.
hey, there's a step up.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
so we did talk about the game, and of course, things that didn't work out and things that did. But one thing that has not worked out, unfortunately for the Colts this season, is Mr. Matt Ryan. After 7 games, of course, he has 2,088 yards, 9 TDs, 9 interceptions, lost a few fumbles, and a few other things as well. But um, the decision has been made to bench Matt Ryan, and now they will have second-year quarterback from Texas, Sam Ehlinger, in there as the starter. Now we know he's not 6'1". He's listed as 6'1", but we know he's probably
Yeah.
shorter than me, and I'm 6 foot. So, but what did you see this benching of Matt Ryan coming?
So I didn't see the benching of Matt Ryan coming. Now, um, once again, we was on Indie Intercept podcast. We was talking about it, and Meg had asked me, how do you feel about people calling for Sam to become the starter? And I was like, I'm not really on board for that. But like I just told you, I gave you my spiel on how I felt about this team going forward. Then the next day it came out that Sam Ehlinger was going to be the starter. And so and at first it came out that he was going to be the starter because Matt Ryan had a grade 2 shoulder separation. Um and then it came out that this move was going to happen regardless of the injury. So you know, at this point, I'm just like I said, I'm at the point where okay, now we get to see what we have in Sam. Like, can he be the quarterback of the future? Or do we need to address that in this draft? And I think that's why they're doing it, because they probably feel the same way. They probably feel like, okay, this season is a lost season pretty much. And
Mhm.
let's see what we got in Sam. If we have something good in Sam, then maybe we roll with him. We let him finish out this season and roll with him next year and put more pieces around him, especially on that offensive line this offseason. Um, or we go get our quarterback. So I think that's where the team is, and I mean I'm fine with it. I'm okay with it. Like I'm at peace with it. Everybody thought I was going to be distraught and upset and angry, and I'm like, man, like we just lost twice to the Titans. They have the number 1 seed in the AFC South, or the number 1 spot in the AFC South in the division. So what are we playing for at this point? So I'm good with it.
I hear you there. Now, of course, many have wondered what this means next for Matt Ryan. In my opinion, I think he's going to potentially retire after this year.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna ask you, what are your thoughts? Do you think he plays for another team, or do you think he retires and goes back to Atlanta?
I think he retires. The way things have unfolded this season, and I mean, not all of it has been his fault, right? Our offensive line has been terrible. He's been sacked like 24 times, and no, he's not the most mobile quarterback. But that's one of the things that Sam Ehlinger provides for this team as well to help that offensive line is he's a lot more mobile. But no, I do think Matt Ryan will probably retire after this season. I don't know how much he has left in the tank. I thought, when he was given time, he did pretty well. We saw that against Jacksonville where he dropped back and threw the ball 58 times. So I thought he was fine, with that, but it's just he's been getting hit. Like he's been getting banged up out there with this offensive line. So I don't know how much more his body can take. So we could possibly see him hang it up after the season.
All right. Well, I do have to go to the tour in the AFC South inbox. My brother Corey Jackson jumped in there. He said the Colts took that LL Cool J. Oh man, that's bad. That's real bad. But of course, I do have to talk about Mr. Sam Ehlinger. And of course, he brought that spark during the preseason. Everybody was talking about, ooh, we might have something in him. Ooh, we might want to keep an eye on him. He could be the next guy. Now he's officially going to get his opportunity to be the guy. And so all the buzz and all the talk about him potentially being the guy, now we get to see what's up.
Yeah.
So to me, what are you expecting to look different about this offense? Not necessarily with Ehlinger and how he plays, but just in terms of the setup of this offense, do you expect some things to be a little bit different than they would be for, say, a Matt Ryan?
Yeah. So with bringing in Sam, and I actually just finished writing about this too. With bringing in Sam Ehlinger, he adds a different dynamic to our offense. So he's a quarterback that's mobile. He can use his legs, and he adds that dynamic to where defenses have to play 11 on 11 versus 11 on 10. Um, it'll probably open up more lanes for Jonathan Taylor this, the rest of the season as well, because now you have to worry about the quarterback taking off. So like if Frank Wright incorporates some RPOs, some zone reads and stuff like that, for like kind of like what he did last year for Carson Wentz. A lot of one read run pass options. You read with the corner, the linebacker, whatever is doing, and then you just throw the ball out there, or you hand it off to your running back, or you keep it and you run yourself. So I think we're going to add a lot more of that in for Sam Ehlinger, also because that simplifies the game a little bit for him. And so hopefully also that helps our red zone offense, because I believe we're somewhere towards the bottom of the league in red zone offense. So hopefully that gives us another dynamic in the red zone as well, because now we have a quarterback that he gives the threat of actually running the ball and get into the end zone. Um, and I think he'll take more shots downfield, which I think helps receivers like Alec Pierce and Paris Campbell, because Paris Campbell, he's not a underneath type of guy. He's one of the guys that can stretch the field. Alec Pierce, he's a guy. He's a 4.4, 4.3, 40 time. He can stretch the field. He can and he can make contested catches. So I think that adds another dynamic, because Matt Ryan was more conservative, I would say, when it came to testing downfield, and that could be lack of arm or whatever. But Sam Ehlinger, I believe, will actually go out there and throw the ball downfield.
Gotcha. And for those that are listening and said conservative, how can he be conservative when he threw the ball deep to win the game? Against the Jaguars. I'm like, hold on, you got to remember that was one game, and that was one game for the sample size of the season. The majority of the time, he really wasn't taking those type of shots downfield. He just really wasn't. Yep. Just want to give everybody a little bit of context to what C. Lou just dropped on us right there. But I want to also ask, of course, you did mention this about a tryout for Ehlinger, and trying to see if he's going to be the guy. Do you think it's a real tryout for him, or do you think it's kind of a mirage to get towards the tank, and bring the no limit soldiers in and go ahead and tank for the season?
I don't know, man. I think it's a real tryout for him, because they know we have a young quarterback on the roster. And let's see what he can do with the number ones. I mean, they seem to have loved him in practice the past few weeks, which is why they elevated him up to QB2 rather than, keeping Nick Foles at quarterback 2. And I guess this had been a plan that's been in the motions for a while. A lot of people are saying this might have came down from Jim Irsay. And so I think with that, Jim Irsay wants to see, okay, what do we have in the young gun? If he can provide a spark for us, cool, then we're going to roll with him. If he can't, then, let's go get our franchise, or let's attempt to get our franchise quarterback. The big hype has been around Bryce Young, CJ Stroud. I mean, I don't know how much faith a lot of people have in him, because it's an Alabama quarterback and Ohio State quarterback. They don't have too much success in the NFL. So it's just one of those things. I think it may be a legit tryout for Sam, giving him his actual shot to win that job.
Well, we'll definitely see. And no Crimson Tide or Buckeye players were harmed in that statement there. But we're gonna go on to the last question I have before we hit the game section. The rest of the season for the Colts, I mean, you got guys like you mentioned, Stephon Gilmore. You got Shaq Leonard. What do you see the team doing the rest of the season? Do you see them kind of fighting out there, or do you see them kind of giving the fake fight to make people think they're doing something out
there? I mean, the hope is they would fight. They would fight, and if they win those games, cool. If they lose those games, then they lose those games. But this is the NFL. This is a business. Just like the NBA, they'll give the facade that they're fighting, and really they've been tanking the whole time. So I don't know. The hope is, I mean, with Gilly and Shaq, I know they're not. Gilly didn't come here to lose or to tank. Gilly came here to win games. So I know he's 32 years old or something like that. Like, he's I don't want to say on his last leg, but he's closer to out of the league than he is, coming into the league.
Right.
Um Closer to the end of his prime than he is, entering it. So um I think they're gonna fight, especially Shaq, because he's been riddled with injuries and he came back one game, got a concussion and a broken nose. So I think he's gonna fight to try to help the team. I think Gilly is as well, but it's left to be seen, especially with the remaining schedule. It sucked that we played all of our division games at the beginning of the season. Like, that hurt us a lot because we start off slow and we lost important divisional games. Um, we got one more left, and that's week 18. And that's another reason why I'm just like, wave the white flag and reel it on in. Um,
Gotcha.
but nah, I think they'll fight. I think they will.
We had one additional question that hit the Torn the AFC South inbox. Mr. Vincent Thomas, VT is what they call him. It's from the UT Martin days. He knows what I'm talking about. But did you see what he saw in Ryan, that he was not able to make the throws he usually would make, especially the out routes?
I did see a couple of those where it's like, okay, you're testing it, like reel it in a little bit, bro. Because I think there was one against the Titans that got knocked down. I mean, the receiver was open, but it got batted down because the DB was able to catch up with it. But nah, I've seen a couple of them where it's just like, all right, Matt. But I've also seen some where he's gotten them out there. So I think, I don't know. A lot of it could be mechanics. Some of it could be arm strength, or his arm, lack of arm strength. But yeah, I've definitely seen a couple of those where I'm just like, all right, Matt, relax.
All right. Now, of course, the big question in all of this that we haven't talked about, Frank Reich. He's been an interesting character in terms of a coach there in Indianapolis. He's had some great moments and he's had some moments that make you scratch your head. Like, for example, I think he went for it on let's see, 2 points one time. It's that time the game going to overtime. That's going way back. But he's had decisions like that a lot. Before anyone talked about analytics, he was making analytical decisions. So do you think this is the end for Frank Reich in Indianapolis after this year?
We talked about this a lot, man. Jim Irsay is a loyalist. Like, he's loyal to the soil. Sometimes he's way too loyal, where he'll let the coach and the GM just run amok pretty much and just give them too long of a tenure. Um, I don't know if this is his last year. I think Jim, may give him one more year, especially if we're going in here with a young quarterback, or he may, decide, okay, it's time for a new regime, and let that regime pick their quarterback and go from there. But I don't know. Frank, I want it to be over. Like, I want it to be over. I'd rather go get Byron Leftwich or D'Amico Ryans, one of those coaches, and let's see what they can do as a head coach. Um, but I think it's time for Frank and Chris Ballard to go. Like, I strongly believe it's time for them to go.
Okay. All right. I'm going to throw another name at you, too. You said D'Amico Ryan. For those that don't know, he is the defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. Byron Leftwich, offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going to throw another name at you that you're probably not thinking about. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Pep Hamilton, offensive coordinator for the Houston Texans. He could return back.
I'm good.
I think if you give him a young quarterback, he can make some things happen.
He might be able to.
Look.
I mean, yeah, he might be able to. I don't know, man. we have some PTSD with him too, but maybe he may be an option as well.
Gotcha. Now, of course, we have answered and talked about the Colts, but of course, we got one more section of Colts talk, and that is in the game. We got 5 questions to answer, and we got one choice that you have to make. Are you ready?
Yep. Let's get it.
Over or under 6 games played for Shaq Leonard the rest of the season?
Over.
Okay. All right. Well, he has had a little bit of an injury history this year, so okay.
See this,
But
but this one was a freak injury. The last one was a freak injury. He'll be all right. I'm
okay.
taking it over here.
All right. All right. I was thinking about, No Limit Soldier and tanking. That's what I was thinking. But all right. 7 wins over or under for the Indianapolis Colts to finish the season.
Where are we at now? Nah, we're not getting 7 more wins. I'm gonna
No,
take the under on that.
you gotta get no, I'm talking about 7 wins, period.
Oh, in total.
Yes, in total.
Uh,
You're at 3-3-1 right now.
mm. So we need 4 more wins. Trying to think
Right.
of our schedule. That's hard because the situation we in right now. Oh,
That's why I ask it. That's why I ask it.
oh, I'm gonna take the dang man. I'm gonna take I'm gonna take the under. I'm gonna take the
All
under.
right, all right. Now I will say this: I do think the last game is going to be pretty interesting between the Texans and the Colts. Boy, oh boy, I'm going to reserve my comments for that one. But boy, oh boy, is all I'm going to say. All right.
Maybe it ended a tie again.
Oh boy, if they do that, man, that's got to be like NFL history. 2 teams tie twice in the same year. That's gotta be NFL history. But as far as let's see, starting quarterback next year, veteran quarterback or a rookie? Would you say it's going to be?
A rookie.
A rookie. Okay. All right. Let's see. I'm going to throw this one at you since you're talking about rookies and potential rookies. Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. You got to pick one of these quarterbacks to lead your team over the next 10 years.
Listen,
which one are you taking? And I know
start,
the Ohio State and the Alabama history. I know that, but you got to pick one.
No, I got you. So I started the hashtag. Put Matt on ice for Bryce. There we go.
Oh my goodness, that's a good one. That's better than the ones I tried to come up with because I was trying to rhyme stuff and it just went way.
It's hard. It's hard to ride with them, man.
Definitely. Okay, and of course we got Alec Pierce or Michael Pittman Jr. Both have 1 touchdown so far, but who will end up with more touchdowns this year?
MPJ.
Okay.
Michael Pittman.
All right. All right. Well, that's the end of the questions. That's the end of it. 5 questions, 2 choices, 1 answer. Of course, we do have a bonus question. Mr. Vincent Thomas is back again. How do you give up on a team as a coach and GM and owner when you are 3-3-1? All you need is 5 more to snip the playoffs. The floor is yours.
Well, that's what I kind of explained earlier. When you look at the landscape of the AFC, right? You look at the Buffalo Bills, the Miami Dolphins. You look at the Baltimore Ravens and the Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals. You look at who else am I thinking about? AFC East, AFC North, AFC West. You look at, I mean, maybe the Chargers are cooked. I don't know, but you look at the Kansas City Chiefs and potentially the Chargers. Chargers, I think, are 4-3. Kansas City's 5-2. Those 6 teams could possibly get into the playoffs. That leaves 1 more playoff spot. We're not winning the AFC South. The Titans most likely will win that. That leaves that playoff spot for them. So that, once again, unless the Titans find a way to just lose, like just lose everything. Like unless, I mean, I don't hope for injuries or anything like that, but I'm just saying, like, if injuries happen, the Titans just find a way to just lose games, whatever happens. Maybe the second half woes come to haunt them later on in the season. I don't know, but it's a tall task, like a tall order for us to win the South and make the playoffs. I just don't see it happening. So that's how, I mean, and giving up on your coach, your GM, that's like over a 5-year time frame. Like that's not just this season. That's over with the body of work that they have put together, especially since after Andrew Luck has retired. There is no contingency plan for our left tackle. We still don't have a left tackle. No contingency plan when Costanzo left.
Yeah,
Nothing like that. There was nothing behind him. So to start off the year, we said Matt Pryor was the starter. We saw how that worked out. We all saw that in 4K. We caught that in 4K.
CeeLo, I would dare to say that maybe Richard Pryor would be better at tackle than Matt Pryor.
Maybe.
I would dare to say.
but so it's not just one season of it's not just one season that it's like, oh yeah, send Frank away, send Ballard away. It's over a course of 5 years. Even with Ballard, just him being cheap in free agency. Like there were pieces out there that we could have got this offseason. He decided we're only going to sign Gilly and we'll trade for Matt Ryan. That should shore up everything. It doesn't. I told y'all before the season, or Mike, I told everybody before the season started, my concerns was left tackle, right guard. We let our guards walk. We let Glowinski go to New York. We let Chris Reed go to Minnesota. We let, we had an issue at left tackle anyway, but we let him walk and we just didn't replace him. So it's one of those things where it's like you sit on your hands. We call him Bargain Bin Ballard for a reason. So I mean, you sit on your hands. You don't spend money in free agency. You want to keep everybody home, which I understand. I respect that. Like keep all your homegrown players home. I respect it. But at some point in time, you gotta open that pocketbook and spend some money to get some talent in there, and they just haven't done it. And so. And this is this is over a course of 5 years. So it's not just this year. It's not just this year.
Right. And of course, speaking of homegrown talent and spending money, I believe y'all still got to see the Philadelphia Eagles this year. Yeah. And I believe the Dallas Cowboys this year.
Yep.
And I believe even though they're not that it's necessarily great, still you got to see the Washington Commanders. And you got to see them with Taylor
see them
Heineke.
This weekend.
You got to see them with Taylor Heineke.
Yeah.
So Taylor Heineke might be, that offense seems to respond to Taylor Heineke for some reason. I can't explain it. I don't know what to say, but they seem to respond to him.
And we still got to see the Giants. And I know people aren't really sold on the Giants, but the Giants have been riddled with injuries. I'm pretty sure by January 1st, they'll be pretty healthy. And we'll have to see a healthy New York Giants. That's been winning games with injuries. They're 6-1. So yeah.
Right. Oh boy, sometimes the rain falls and sometimes it's sunshine. That's all I can say. But we have ended this episode talking about the Indianapolis Colts. I want to thank you for coming on, Chris. The floor is yours. Talk to everyone what you're working on, what you got going on, and where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at DropBallsPod. That's my main Twitter page. That's where I'm at all the time. In a space near you, whether it's talking sports, music, whatever, is all of that. You can find the podcast on any major podcast platform: Google, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you listen to podcasts at. I also write for Indie Intercept. I post those articles every week. I do at least 2 of them. And now we're also with Stadium Rant doing an NFL show called Unnecessary Roughness. That's premiering tonight in about 30 minutes. So I'm going to get on that here soon. But that's pretty much everything I'm doing right now.
All right. And then another thing he might be doing is he might have a nice little bottle sitting to his left or his right, thinking about these. I'm just kidding. I'm not even going to go there. But no, we're going to go ahead and end this episode. Thank you all for tuning in. You've been tuned in to Touring the AFC South with your host, Mike Patton. We're out.